Thank you very much for joining me for this interview for Horse Riders Up. I have so many questions that I want to ask you. How everything started? How did you start riding? And when did you understand that you wanted this to be your life?
Yeah, so I think I've always been around horses literally from as far as I can remember. My mum was working on a racing stud back in Zimbabwe. So from a very early age, grew up around horses. She always rode as a hobby. And then as a young child, sort of going up, starting with pony club, doing all the disciplines. So I did, eventing, show jumping, dressage, like I said, pony club, equitation. And I guess when you're a young child, anything that you sort of get a little bit of success at, you start to enjoy even more. So I got my provincial colours in South Africa. So it's competing for my regional province, and then from there it continued up to competing for South Africa for my children's career, juniors, young riders, etc. So I've always been around horses, love animals, love sports, and it was just a natural progression. Working hard, getting opportunities. My family have been amazingly supportive behind me, and I guess Cape Town is not really known for show jumping in general, and it's quite a small community there. So especially growing up, there was surfing, skateboarding, rugby, cricket. South Africa is famous for the more traditional sports. So I don't know, it was never really thought of as a career, but just continued, like I said, just kept going, getting a little sort of more success, and then getting the opportunity to go and train as a 12-year-old over in the UK. And then I guess that was one of the big steps where it took a lot of investment, a lot of time from the family, and we had to have that discussion, even though I was young. What does this entail, and what are we going to do? So it was decided that this is what I really wanted to do, and I had the support of my mum and my grandparents, and we said, let's go for this. So there was houses sold and etc., and everything was put forward to my riding career. So I've been incredibly lucky, and from there it was just serious, and then that's the direction I wanted to go.
So you went all in on this?
All in. The family went all in, literally all in. So I had work from school I'd take with me. So I'd do all my school holidays in the UK and eventually Europe. I had tutors with me. Like I said, we sold our family home. So they've sacrificed a lot for me. And for me, we talk about sacrifice, but I don't know if it's a sacrifice because I got to do what I love and got to follow my passion and dream. So it's been amazing. Of course, I still have all my friends from school in South Africa, so I'm very lucky in that way. I've got an amazing support system. But, you do leave home young, and I'm very proud South African, and I miss Africa. But I've been actually in Europe longer than I have Africa. So
you're in Valkenswaard right now.
Yeah. So we're in Valkenswaard now for the last 7 years. But I've been in Germany 11 years. I was in Belgium 1.5 years. So I've been around the UK from 12 till 17. So sort of 5 years on and off there. So I've moved around. South Africa's still home. Cape Town is definitely home. But like I said, I've been very lucky to follow my passion, my dream, and it's become my reality and work. So yeah.
What keeps you motivated today, every day, to do what you do? Because of course there is a lot of commitment and passion. Do you ever ask yourself, why do I do this? Like, for the feeling that I have when I win, for the feeling that I have when I see my horses, or for the feeling that I have when I overcome a challenge? Or do you ever ask yourself something like this?
Yeah.
Like
I think there's a lot of soul searching and a lot of pretty much all those little aspects all come into it. I would say, especially as a teenager and growing up hyper competitive, wanted, like every athlete, Olympic Games and medals and world championships, and always focus on the sort of finish line and the goals. And at times when you see things you're not getting to where you think you are or where you're expected to be, there's been a lot of frustration over the years. A lot of looking at myself, am I good enough? Phoning my mom on numerous occasions, saying, I don't know if this is for me. It's really, really tough. I'm tired. I'm being let down. My mom said, she always said, if you want to give up because you want to give up, that's no problem, but not because it's too hard. So I guess that was, that's a massive thing. And when you break it down, it's so true, So I've always kept going. I love showjumping. And like I said, I love animals and I love sports. So it's the perfect mix. So, but my sort of, my aim is, or maybe my ideas have changed a little. The older we get more mature, and I start to realize what an amazing existence we live, and life. I'm blessed. I get to travel the world. I get to every day be with my animals and compete with them and build these such cool connections with people and animals. And I get to travel. So the older I'm getting, I'm starting to really, or I'm a perfectionist and I want to win, of course, all the time, but I'm trying to also enjoy a bit of the journey. As sort of cliche as that sounds, I'm trying to enjoy the life, the wins and the losses. I guess there's a lot of emotion that goes into that. So both winning and losing are amazing emotions. So I just consider myself very lucky, and that's what motivates me. I still believe my best part of my career is in front of me, and that's the beauty with show jumping. I guess we have such a long career. It's not done when you're 30. We can ride up to 50, 60. I always had these plans that I'd be a very young guy and win the medal or win big Grand Prix. That hasn't happened yet, but we're going to keep going and give it a very good try.
How many horses do you have right now? How many horses are you riding?
Yeah, so I got 6 in my team at the moment. I would say I've got 3 for the bigger sport, so for the 5-star level, and then I've got 3 younger horses, very promising. I've got 2 8-year-olds that are looking very interesting, and 1 7-year-old. So it's that fine balance. I guess when I was younger, financial-wise, it's very difficult and getting the right people around you, but trying to have that ladder. So in the dream scenario, that would be you having your Grand Prix horses, and then you have a ladder going down to your young horses. So you constantly have a stream, whether somebody gets injured or you have to sell a horse because it's expensive and it is a business at the same time. So the ideal is when you have a ladder from young horses up until your Grand Prix horses. But like I said, financially and getting the backing and everything, that's not always possible. So especially as a young athlete coming up, I struggled sometimes to get that balance right, And then when you eventually make that struggle and you get onto the 5-star shows or that high level, yes, I'm there, and you really get focused onto that. And sometimes you forget about what's coming under you, that infrastructure. But I'm very lucky now I have that support, and I'm a little older, and I've been around now. And then I think we're starting to get that structure in place. So it's sort of an exciting time ahead.
You mentioned, of course, young horses. So when you look for a new young horse to develop, which qualities do you focus on? Which qualities do you look for in your new horses?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think you get different types of riders. A lot of riders are more physical. I'm a sort of a very light, I would say, I don't know if it's modern, but quite a forward rider. I always take the first distance with a lot of rhythm. So I need a horse that's very careful and generally a lot more blood. I don't ride with a huge amount of leg. So connection is a little bit of an issue for me. So I always need a horse that's forward going and bloody. So I look for one with a lot of power, quick off the ground, and intelligent. I struggle to ride a bit of a slower type of horse. So something a bit sharper, maybe that not every rider would like. Sensitive and careful. Those are would be my first initial thoughts when I'm looking at a video. Is it quick enough? Is it quick from the floor? Has it got enough blood? And then from there, of course, we look at scope and this and that. But main things would be, I would say, blood and quickness. Yeah.
How do you build a bond with them? So beyond the riding, of course.
So it's a cool question because this is very important to me. I think there's a lot of great riders and guys can win Grand Prix and whatever, but that doesn't make them a great horse person. And I think, a lot of the guys are now trying to write articles and saying, they're worried about horsemanship dying out in the future and people, just competing, being great competitors, but maybe not the best horsemen. I believe horses, they're highly emotionally sensitive, much, much cleverer than we are with our emotions. And I think the beauty of it is becoming friends with them, and I still believe in that friendship with that horse, getting the horses in the fields, riding them on the outrides. They're not just machines. And it was a great question because it's something that's quite close to my heart. If it was as simple as just technique and performance, it would be a very, very simple thing to train. Well, not simple, but it would be a much easier task. You'd have the perfect rider, essentially the perfect horse, like other sports. But we're dealing with two beings, the rider and the horse. So I think there's that teamwork, that friendship, definitely that bond. No difference like a dog. It's a pet, and horses are part of my family anyway. And I believe we have to look after them accordingly. That's putting them in the field, that's outrides, and just building that friendship and that bond. I mean, I love my horse. I go and sometimes in the evenings and I just go and sit in the stable with them and chill. And some people laugh and say it's a bit soft or whatever, but that's the way I like to do it, and that's the way I connect with my horses. I need a bit of I wouldn't say I'm the best rider just to flip onto horses very quickly. I need a lot of time with my horses. I bring them up a little bit slower than others. I'm not really interested in age groups and categories and things like this. So I'm in it for the long term. When we buy horses, it's generally for the top sport. Of course, things happen, and sometimes we have to sell, like I said. But I'm looking for that long term relationship with them. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my questions is indeed about ethics in this sport. What's your idea for the future? I mean, where do you see this going? Is going to be something that people will focus more on, the ethics in general, the respect for the horse? Or do you see that we are going in the opposite direction with people caring always less?
I think it's a difficult discussion to have, of course, in general. I think civilizations, if you look, we're trying to educate ourselves, we're trying to understand. When we look 100 years ago, the bits and some of the things we saw back then, we'd say, oh, they're quite sharp today, But there is a line, I think, where we can go overboard and we can control things too much. At the same time, we need rules and we need boundaries. It's a difficult one. I mean, I definitely needs to be some governing, of course. I think stewards, people that are making decisions, the organizations and the riders and owners, I think we all need to be a bit more on the same page. Sometimes I think there's a lot of sort of back and forth, understanding what riders want, what stewards want, what the organizations want, what amateurs want compared to professionals. I think it's a difficult one. My only my dream as a professional rider in this, and like I always say in some of the interviews, I think you'll always, unfortunately, it's human nature, will get people that abuse situations, whether it's animals, humans, their own relationships, their family, businesses, and you get, people that try to stay in the lines, and look after what they have. And I don't think we'll ever get that. It's human nature. But I hope that people respect animals like they respect all, and try to get them, like I said, give them the best life they can afford, and get them in the fields, give them that attention. And that's the only sort of hope that I could sort of hope for anyone that watches this, or in the future, that we care for our horses like we do our dogs, or like any other pet we have in the house. Show jumping, yeah, I think it'll get stricter and stricter over the years, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but I can only say, I mean, I love my horses and they get looked after like gold. So
I'm sure.
I don't know, it's a difficult answer. Difficult question. You're never going to control behind doors what's right and what's wrong, but I think the stewarding is definitely something with professional riders that could, get a more education. You have the top stewards that are phenomenal, that I see sometimes a lot of things that some of the organizations focus on, and then I see other things and I think, how is that allowed? How is that allowed? We're worried about the noseband being too tight, but then someone's trotting to a big oxer in the warm-up, guaranteeing that they're going to have a fence down, and that's crazy, so somewhere, but how do you police that, or how do you control that? So it's a difficult one. I don't know the answer to it. Listen, I've also smacked a horse before with a whip, and no one's an angel, and I've been bitten by a horse and kicked, but like I said, I adore my horses, and I never understand why people that ride have no empathy. There's some people, but it's in the world the same, with less empathy or less feel. Like I said, I treat the horses just like I would treat myself, or they're part of my family.
Even better.
Even better, exactly. Yeah. So it's how I look at it. I just love animals, so that's why. I mean, we all want to win, of course, and like I said, my dream is to have an Olympic gold medal. But I still love horses. It's not the only reason I ride to compete.
And they are the priority, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're just, like I said, it's taken me a little bit of time because I've always been obsessed with, sort of finish line results. But like I said, how lucky are we to be able to deal and ride and be with them? So, yeah.
And going back to show jumping, how do you keep yourself focused under pressure? Because we know that this is a sport when it's really important, your mindset and your ability to keep cool nerves and to keep calm when you're in the warm-up and when you're approaching the show ring. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so again, cool question, because I think our sport is evolving. I think we're behind in general with us as athletes, how we look after ourselves. And I had an interesting conversation with a personal trainer here actually in Doha, and he said he's been in Formula One and he's been in the tennis and all this, and he said, it's interesting. We look at, show jumping is so expensive, and a lot of the times he sees a difference in we don't invest in ourselves. It's all, about the horses, the shoeing and the veterinary care and this and that. And we've fallen behind with ourselves. And there's also, so I think we're starting to see now the riders keeping themselves in shape. So a lot of the guys have personal trainers, they're working out. And then the mental side of it too. Quite a few guys now starting to get psychologists, sports psychologists. I have one, I speak to once a week. In the beginning, I was a bit, I don't need that and this and that. But, we're silly not to. All the other pro athletes in the world do it. And it's just about chatting with someone, different emotions. I always struggled with having a bad round coming out. taking it so personally, sitting on me for days. And so I'm trying to work through that side of it. And I think I'm getting there. It's like I said, we're focusing on process and not always result based. But in general, I'm a very laid back person. People sometimes mistaken me maybe for not being super serious, because I can have a chat with you and then get on and jump a big Grand Prix. It's just my personality. I think the older I've got, I've realized there's no recipe for taking pressure, or everyone is different. And I think some people get super nervous. Some people, handle it in different ways. Some are quiet, some are loud. And I think you've got to understand that nerves are just it's an emotion. It's a normal, totally normal thing to feel, and just accept it. And everyone deals with it in different ways. So whether you want to shout or be quiet or focus or chat with your friends or laugh, that's okay. Just find your own routine that sort of works for you. So for me, like I said, I'm very relaxed. I actually need to sharpen myself up. So I'll normally have a black coffee just before I get on, just to sharpen myself. And then I get on, and then I feel a little bit of butterflies a couple of hours before. Start to feel the excitement or the buzz before a big Grand Prix. Walk the course, that slowly fades away because the focus comes into play then. Can feel a little bit if I'm later on in the class and I'm watching, especially if it's a big class or it's difficult. Some people are struggling, and I'll sit there and I'll think, this is, then change your mind, maybe be a bit indecisive. But I'm also working on being a bit more decisive. So making a plan and sticking to it. That's it. This is a plan for me and my horse, and sticking with it. And then once I get on, it all fades away. The focus and the connection with the animal come into play. And then from there on, it's just getting on with it.
That's the best part then.
Yeah, it's just getting on with it. We're all human, with experience in doing things. Maybe your first 5-star, you're feeling a little bit of excitement. Wow, there's all, a lot of famous riders, a big stadium, a lot of public. Second one is a bit, and you can learn, you can teach yourself to deal with these things. So I think experience and just, everyone deals in a different way, and accepting that we're all different.
It's an everyday thing that you do for yourself. It's not only for the competition moment. So it's something that you build up.
Yeah. So sports psychology, essentially it's also just basic life lessons, what we take from our normal life, we can take into sports, and from sports we can take into normal life. So I think they go hand in hand. So whether you speak to a normal psychologist or a sports psychologist, of course, sports psychologists are a little more maybe specialized in your direction. But in general, it's very much the similar lessons, and so I think anything, it's just to chat with somebody and dealing with and understanding that, like I said, we're all different and we're all human and we make mistakes, and it's okay.
We just need to find our own way to deal with things.
That's it. We all get nervous, we all get scared. There are human emotions. I can't, someone cannot just tell me don't be scared or don't be nervous or don't be happy. We just have to deal with it, and we're all different in how we deal with it. And so I think that's the best way to look at it, rationalize it a bit.
And do you have a role model, like a rider that you particularly admire?
Yeah, I had a lot of riders over the years. But I guess it has to be, there can only be one. And growing up, I remember I had a little tape at that time before DVDs and anything like this. It was called Milton the Millionaire. It was John Whitaker. And so for me, as a young boy in South Africa, far away from that sort of high-level sport, it was always Milton Millionaire tape on, watching the big stadiums of Europe and around the world. And so for me, he was my hero, still is my hero. I think he's a genius, and I've been so lucky to ride with him on the last 2 seasons on the Global Champions Tour with Valkenswaard United. So an absolute dream come true. And him also as a person, not even as a sportsman, but as a person, I think he's just so down to earth and wonderful. So he's definitely one of my heroes and role models. Yeah.
Have you ever had like a big challenge or like a setback?
Oh, there's been so many. There's been so many. And me being South African, I'm not European. So I'm away from home. I'm an outsider. I've made a lot of great friends and contacts, but I'm away from home, and not having that support system. My family fly to see me; they're amazing, but still, you're a bit of a one-man show in Europe. And there's been times when I've been let down, or horse owners have sold horses, or I've been fired from a job, or people tell me I'm not good enough, or making mistakes. And like I said, there's a lot of soul search, and go back to your hotel room or your little apartment, living somewhere with no money, and you sort of literally head in your hands thinking, is this just a bridge too far? Am I really not good enough? Am I ever going to make it? How am I going to feed, survive? So there's all these scary emotions and feelings that we've gone through, and there's been so many of them over the years. I think it comes down to what do you want from life. Yeah. And as much as I phone my family every day, and how am I going to do this? I'm scared. I don't know if I want, blah, 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 all the normal things. It comes down to the basics of, I want a medal more than anything else. And, and I love the horses. So that always overtakes the struggles. So no matter how bad it gets, there is always a way out. And I'm a true believer in things work out. They do work out. If you stay good and you stay true to yourself, keep your head down, things work out. It's just an amazing how it happens in life. And it has in my own way. It's been a real rocky, twisty road, but somehow you still get to your destination in the end, and that's how I've always looked at it. Yeah.
You are many things right now. You are a professional rider, you're a father, you're a husband, you're a business owner. How do you balance all your roles? I mean, what's a typical day look like in your life?
Yeah, so the older you get, sort of more, what we call it, more baggage, whether that's family or businesses or hobbies or whatever. Your life grows, of course. When you're hardcore, when you're young, it's just ride, from morning to night. And of course you grow and you collect, and that's a great thing, because we also grow in ourselves. So with a family now, normal day would be, I'll get up. Normally it's Sophia and me and Georgie having breakfast together. George will take Sophia to school. I'll start to ride around 8:15, ride up until about 12:30. Then we try to have lunch together. I'm a big fan of siesta, so I always have a sleep pretty much every day of my life, whether that's on the show or at home. Even if it's half an hour, it's just a power nap, and I've been doing it since I'm 18, and it's just something that it's totally in it's part of my routine. Afternoon, I'll ride maybe one or two more if there's something left to ride, and then on the farm, whether it's raking the arenas, doing the muck heap with the tractor, doing a bit of gardening, but there's always action, there's always something to do in the stable. That's at home. Then I love sports, so I play golf, I kickbox to stay fit, I work out every night. I also got my pilot's license, so I try, the last year it's been difficult, but I try to catch a flight once every couple of weeks. So I'll get up in the plane, and I find that's a cool thing, because you've got to stay present, much like show jumping. You can't let your mind wander. It's you in the plane, and I love experiences and travel and adventure. So that's, for me, one of the coolest things you can do is fly a plane. So that's a huge passion of mine, aviation. So I love to try, and I've always believed, do as much and take in many experiences as possible, because you grow as a person doing that too. So whether it, like I said, it's golf, it's travel, it's flying. We're at home, we have a beautiful setup in Valkenswaard. So generally it'll be riding, and on the farm in weekdays, work out in the evenings, and then we try to have dinner all together, give Sophia a bath, and then we'll put her to bed. And then normal days are very normal. Me and George will sit and watch Netflix on the couch, and try to get to bed around 10 o'clock. Of course, our lives are not normal, so generally from Thursday to Sunday we're flying. So I'll get to the airport, fly to a show, compete. And horse shows, they vary, but it's often quite a lot of hotel, showground, a lot of Netflix. So it's not as exciting as maybe some people think. But at the same time, when we're in a new city or a new place, try to get out and see something at least. Fly home on Sunday night or early Monday morning, and then it's back into the routine. And routine is good. It keeps us set. It gives a good base to everything. And we have the little one now, so she needs to get to school 2 days a week. Yeah.
And what's your favorite place to compete?
It's a good one. I love big public, a lot of crowd. I have to say, it changes over, and it's different from indoor to outdoor. But I rode Mexico City 2 years ago, and I thought that was just amazing. The climate was phenomenal. The grass ring is one of the best I've ever ridden, and the public. Great food, great tequila. So we're going to go with Mexico City. I enjoyed Mexico City. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
You have a favorite arena in Europe?
Let's see. In Europe, Madrid is very special. That's wonderful outdoors. I really enjoyed Verona, Indoor World Cup. High energy around the warm-up, a lot of people, a lot of shops. So you really feel the buzz. Yeah. Monaco is very cool. I mean, it's very small, very compact, totally different to all the other rings. And it's not a large amount of people watching, but there's something very special about competing in that tight ring. Yeah, things come fast.
What was your biggest satisfaction?
Yeah, wins are great, but they're only a certain, they last maybe a day or a couple of days, and you get home and everyone says, well done, and that goes away. But I think in the end, championships are the biggest reward. So jumping clear, for your country at a world championship is just, for me, the highest level of satisfaction. So definitely jumping clear in the second round of the Nations Cup and the World Championships in Normandy was a massive one. That'll stay with me for life. That was an amazing feeling. Yeah.
What are your aspirations and goals for the next future?
So it never starts my dream, and hopefully I get there, because everything's for is a championship medal. So it's whether a world championship or an Olympic medal. That's always been the dream since a little boy, and we'll continue to strive towards that. Never been one hugely about the rankings, just because I've never had enough horses to compete, and I've never had that longevity with one team. So rankings is not hugely important for me. It's championships. So it's all about the championships for me. I'm on the Global Champions Tour again this year. I have a very good horse, Comboltago, so I'm really hoping he steps up, and I would love him to catch a podium or two in one of the Grand Prix this year, and then get that momentum for the World Championships in Aachen next year.
Hopefully I will cheer for you in person.
Yeah, I hope so. Yes, please. Yes, please.
What advice would you give to young riders who wish to follow your footsteps?
I can only say, like I said, I'm a guy from Cape Town that's not from, a professional family background. I grew up surfing and skateboarding and from a relatively normal existence. So it's possible from wherever in the world you are. And if you really want something, like I said, I reiterate, I'm a true believer in things work out. They just find a way of working out. So if you really want something, find somebody or a mentor that you have the same philosophy, the same ideas about looking after horses, and stick with it. And doing it, there is a right way and there's a wrong way. And doing it the right way, have respect for the horse, respect for yourself, and work hard. And no matter how hard it gets, there is always a way out. So just continue. I'm in my mid-30s, and I've got nowhere close to where I thought or want to be, but we continue and we keep pushing. So yeah, never give up and love the horses.
That's a beautiful message.
I think there's also, individuality, and I don't think everyone fits in like in a box, and sometimes I struggle with that, especially as a younger rider, growing up in Northern Europe. There's a way to ride, a way to dress, a way to look, a way, and I've never been like that. And I would also like to tell younger, riders coming up, be individual. There is your own way to do things. You don't have to ride like this or look like that or dress like this. Yeah. And then guys like Peter Fredriksson, they're so great for our sport, because them riding out in the woods and putting a horse in the field. I think a lot of top riders, we need to show more of this, because the next generation coming up, there is a right way to do things. And I don't care if a horse is worth 10 million euro or 1 million euro or €1, it doesn't matter. Let them go in the field. Let them still be horses as much as possible. So these are the sort of the messages I would like to get out, because I think they're very important for me, and I hope riders coming up, you can ride on the Global Champions Tour, the Championship, and your horse can go in the field. You can do both,
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm with you on this.
Yeah, so if that's one message I could get out, please guys, put your horses in the field. They can go on outrides, they're not going to die. If they can't survive a field, they're not going to survive a 5-star Grand Prix.
I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah, so that would be a cool message to get out if possible. Yeah. And the rest, enjoy, love the horses, and that's pretty much all there is to it. We're very blessed to do what we do.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time, Oliver.
Thank you for letting me speak, and thank you for the opportunity to come on your platform. Very cool. And I wish you all the luck, and hopefully we can meet up on one of the horse shows soon.
Absolutely.